right, Gator fans. So right now, the Florida Gators stand 2 games above everybody in the at least 2 games above everybody in the conference in the race for the SEC regular season outright championship. Florida defeated South Carolina Tuesday, because right now it's Thursday morning of me recording this. Defeated South Carolina Tuesday evening, 76-62. Not not an overly efficient game by Florida. Which wasn't really surprising to me. Florida was still riding high off of the win against Kentucky last Saturday, so I kind of figured there was going to be a little bit of a drop off in their efficiency and their performance, and there kind of was. And it was going up against South Carolina, and it was a team that Florida had destroyed and dismembered 95-48 in Columbia a few weeks back. So I was not surprised that South Carolina will put up a much better fight in the first half than they did throughout the entire previous game. They were, at least if they weren't going to win, they were going to at least try to get some respect back from UF after the way the last game performed. Not really surprised. The defense was suffocating like Florida's defense has been throughout the entire conference sequence of their schedule. The defense was superb. Ruben Chinilu and Alex Condon both had double doubles. Ruben Chinilu had his double double in the first half. Against Kentucky, he was close to getting it. He had 20 rebounds, but 7 points, so he didn't get it. So this time he made sure he was going to get it before the South Carolina game was over. And Alex Condon was pretty good himself, 20 and 10 in his double double. So that Florida now has swept both the Georgia Bulldogs and the South Carolina Gamecocks this regular season, and their next game is against Ole Miss at noon. Ole Miss, who just lost to. There was a team. I think it was No, it wasn't Tennessee. Was it Tennessee that Ole Miss lost to last night? I've already brain farted on their game. No, it was Texas A&M. I knew it was a team from Texas, but I brain farted. I thought it was Texas. No, Florida does play Texas after Ole Miss, but it's Ole Miss this Saturday at noon. So it'll be good to see Florida play a high noon game on the road, because they've been kind of comfortable the last couple of games, playing at South Carolina and play against South Carolina in the Old Dome after Kentucky. So to get them back on the road should give them a nice adrenaline boost to fight against the crowd. And as I said earlier, Florida is up 2 games over everybody in the conference, and that's because they caught some breaks. They caught some breaks in the from their conference. Arkansas lost to Alabama, which is why Florida is now 2 games above Arkansas. Now Alabama's back at the number 2. Vanderbilt lost to Missouri, and Missouri is tied at 8-5. I'm kind of surprised that Missouri would still be below Vanderbilt when you consider they just beat them head to head. I figured head to head would matter more than whatever tiebreaker that occurred, because Alabama's ahead of Arkansas, is above Arkansas because of the head-to-head matchup. But nonetheless, Florida has an opportunity to clinch the SEC if they win their. I think somebody said if they win their next 4 games, just go on a 4-game win streak, they will have the SEC. Beat Ole Miss, beat Texas, beat Arkansas, and beat Mississippi State. Quite frankly, I'm not even sure if Florida even really does need to win their next 4 games, because if you really look at the schedule, Missouri has a tough outing. They play Arkansas twice. I know Arkansas still has still has Texas A&M on their schedule along with Vanderbilt. And sorry, I hear noise in the back. That's why I'm trying to. And then Arkansas, like I said, plays. Arkansas plays Vandy. Arkansas plays Vandy. They play Missouri twice. I'm gonna pull up their schedule right now. Got it right here. Mizzou twice, Texas A&M, Florida, and Missouri. So it wasn't Vanderbilt that I was thinking of. It was somebody else. That's going to be a critical matchup for Florida to win. But I wanted to focus this video on on this article written by Adam Spencer of Saturday Down South. Florida's path to a number one seed. What prediction markets say about Florida's chances? Here it is by Saturday down south. Florida sits at 19-6 with a 10-2. 10-2. Actually, no, 20-6 now. This was before the South Carolina game, so I apologize. Florida now sits at 20-6 with an 11-2 conference record. The Gators have positioned themselves as a legitimate contender for a number one seed in the NCAA tournament, but they're going to need some help. And we're going to talk about the help they need. Quality over quantity. Florida's 6 losses, half of them came against projected number one seeds, Duke, UConn. By the way, UConn lost last night to Creighton, so that's going to help their chances. I think Arizona won their game. I'll be sure to check that over again. Arizona was against BYU. That's who they were playing last night. Arizona versus BYU. Yes, Arizona won, so they're probably still in good seeding for the number one spot. The Gators' other losses come to TCU, Mizzou, and Auburn. By the way, Auburn has lost 5 in a row since they beat Florida. Notably, 5 of Florida's 6 losses were decided by 6 points or fewer, demonstrating Florida's ability to compete with anyone, anywhere, at any time. The road games at Texas and Kentucky loom largest. A 5-1, not 4-1 or 5-0 finish, because again, this was before the South Carolina game, would push Florida to 24-7 or a 25-6 record heading into the SEC tournament, likely cementing the Gators a number 2 seed with an outside shot at the number 1 seed, depending on how other contenders fare. This Saturday is going to be some big games. You got Michigan versus Duke. That's 2 number 1 seed contenders going after each other, and Houston will play Arizona, and that's going to be another great matchup. So for Florida fans like myself, you're going to keep your eye on those games to see if one of those teams is going to knock each other off, and that's going to allow Florida to come in, sneak in, and take that spot. Arizona also has Houston to go along with Baylor, to go along with Kansas, to go along with a pretty good Iowa State team. So they have a tough finish to their schedule. They play in perhaps the nation's toughest conference, the Big 12, and they've already dropped 2 conference games, including recently to Texas Tech and a road loss at Kansas. If Arizona navigates the regular season schedule successfully, the Wildcats will face a gauntlet in the Big 12 tournament with Houston, Iowa State, Kansas, and Texas Tech all capable of beating each other on a given night. Recent form, Arizona 2 losses have both come in the past 2 weeks, suggesting potential vulnerability down the stretch. Oh, Texas Tech also lost a star guard due to injury, so that's going to hurt their chances as well. For Florida, the best case scenario is to win out or go now 4-1 in their final 5 games, win the SEC tournament to boost their resume to go along with the SEC regular season title. Arizona lose a couple of games and one of Duke or Connecticut stumbles. I've already talked about Connecticut losing to Creighton last night. Florida's dominance combined with the quality losses to 3 projected number 1 seeds gives them a strong foundation. A 27-7 or 28-6 record with an SEC tournament title will make them impossible to be ignored on Selection Sunday. Florida has positioned itself as a legitimate number 2 seed with an outside shot at the number 1 seed that requires near perfection down the stretch and some help from Arizona's brutal schedule. The quality losses for Florida won't hurt them, but they'll need marquee wins to close the season. With games remaining against Kentucky, Texas, and Arkansas, Florida controls its own destiny in the SEC. Win those games, capture the conference tournament. The committee will have no other choice but to seriously consider consider the Gators for college basketball's most coveted seeding position. Florida needs finish, and he's predicting that Florida will finish as a 2 seed. But if Arizona drops a couple of games, Florida could sneak in to that number 1 spot with the SEC tournament championship. And I think it's rather likely that I think Florida could honestly run the table here, because look at their schedule right here. I talked about Ole Miss, Texas. They have afterwards Arkansas, Mississippi State, Connecticut. Mississippi State and Ole Miss are 2 of the worst teams in the conference. Excuse me, I just hit something. The 2 Mississippi schools, the Rebels and the Bulldogs, they're 2 of the worst teams in the conference, so Florida should win those games outright. You've already beaten Kentucky, and I think you're just better than Texas. And with Arkansas, they're not unbeatable, but they're not in cakewalk. Alabama had to go into double overtime with them last night just to secure the win. So Arkansas playing on the road is not going to be a problem for them. But I think Florida has a very legitimate shot of winning four of these next 5 games. I think they could possibly run the table because Florida has shown that they're not having a problem beating almost every team that everybody thought was going to be a tough matchup for them. Uh, Georgia with their pace, Florida's dominated them. Tennessee with their size and physicality, Florida dominated them. Won on the road at Vandy, beat Alabama handily, beat Texas A&M handily, and had a pretty good outing against Kentucky. So I think Florida's going to finish probably with a 4-1 stretch down the road, and I think they'll capture that SEC regular season title. And I think it's very likely that they win the SEC tournament. I will say if they have to go up against Missouri, that's a game that against Missouri. That's a game that I wouldn't overlook because Missouri obviously has beaten Florida, and they're not too far behind in the SEC race. They're, I think, fifth now. And I think and if Florida has to face them in the semifinals or in the finals, Florida's going to have to shoot the ball way better and play way better defense against Missouri than they did the last time. So, all in all, go Gators. And I think Florida wins the conference in the regular season.